Was that too
never know
far?
though.
You
Look,
don't
I mean,
agree?
like it's happened before. It could happen this
Yeah, too
time,
far,
but
bro.
right before
I
presenting
guess you wouldn't
himself,
agree with
he
that.
It's
That
declared
way
makes
that
too
sense
he
why you
was
wouldn't
close.
want that.
Yeah, yeah,
disembowelment.
yeah.
He could
I have a
take this
strong
as a
bias against
ceremonial,
not
like
not
acknowledgement
happening.
that
I
Trump
mean,
is
you could just
actually
not make
during
your own
the
calls, and you wouldn't have to worry about
The
being executed. You
Hollywood
know?
I would
crest
just not do
of the
call
Biden
outs if that
Imperium.
was the
Yeah,
The
case.
slow
exactly.
blade can
See,
strike,
there, and the
and then
law's working
he will
then.
begin to walk
Yeah.
the demon way
The
in
law's
hell
working as
for the
intended.
2024 election.
Yeah, I think
I would just
that's
never
exactly what
talk
Gerald Ford did.
when playing a game.
So, Trump's impending ritual suicide. Obviously, well, we got Edinger momentum here. You know, this is the young gunners out here in the game of political prediction. So I gotta ask you, the young savage. Will this help Trump as much as people are hyping it? Like, like apparently he wants a big, lots of cameras per block. He's going to be grinning ear to ear in that mugshot. Is this going to? I mean, you already see evidence of this in polls already, like juicing him over
Yeah.
DeSantis.
Well, the sad thing about this is, and this is going to be in the historiography of it, everybody's going to say that, oh, it was the indictment because he's going up by like 20 points in the polls. He started making gains like 2 weeks ago. It was well before the indictment, like was in the news. So it's always going to be credited to this indictment and not his genius nickname of DeSanctimonious
I
finally
just had
landing,
1905.
which it sucks that actually did work.
I think it's that the pudding thing.
Yeah.
The pudding thing was like that was thumbtacks in
Was gonna
DeSantis'
get it, Mark?
tires.
Yeah.
That really slowed him down.
Ooh,
Rupert Murdoch deployed some British journalists to help
damn, that's
DeSantis fight the
over.
pudding accusations, and it
Carried.
did not work.
No, it was.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what was that?
It was Pierce
He ate
Morgan,
puddings with his
wasn't it?
hands. He ate pudding with his bare hands.
How did the
Yeah.
British journalists defend him?
He was like, and let's dispel the pudding rumors for once and all, finally. And DeSantis went, I wouldn't even eat pudding. It's sugar.
Yeah. Oh, shut the fuck up.
It's sugar.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my, he said
He
that?
went- yeah, he said, it's sugar, man.
That's the worst thing after silly season.
Yeah. Just awful.
I figured it was silly season. After he said silly season, he started tanking.
It's Philly season, folks.
Yeah.
Like Uncle Arthur on Bewitched.
Someone made a good
Yeah.
point that he has the same voice as George Santos.
He does. Well, me and you talked about this long before it really heated up. That DeSantis has a problem. He's even when he was closer in numbers to Trump,
Yeah, I feel
even when people were trying to make it seem like it would actually be a contest that favored DeSantis. DeSantis has this problem if he's going to.
This
Go
has to
for
be
it.
a move.
That he can get attacked by Trump, but he is in this impossible position where he's supposed to defend Trump, obviously on indictments, on most things,
He went further for Trump on indictment.
but he can't really attack him that
Yeah.
well or that harshly.
He can't attack him at all because this is something that always befuddled me when I saw him getting a ton of hype and even leading in the polls. Is there's not really a theory of the case for DeSantis. You can't break from Trump electorally trying to run a campaign against him, trying to beat him, and then try to replicate him on policy and not just policy but his own political destiny. It's like DeSantis still has to support Trump for president while running against Trump.
Oh my God,
he's
I didn't get
supporting
one
Trump
tap.
more than Trump is supporting
It's a
himself.
Christmas miracle. Yay.
He had that post
Check.
immediately out about where he said we will do the second nullification crisis. We will not honor the indictment.
Whoa.
We're going full John C. Calhoun on Biden. We're gonna not do this. And then Trump said yeah, I'm taking the mugshot next week. So now he's just saying that I'm gonna cause a constitutional crisis for something Trump didn't even want to do. And I'd like to think that Trump baited that out of him on purpose so we can call DeSantis a lawless hack at the debate.
Count the pieces.
The one road that he could have taken, and hugely risky, and which is why he didn't do it. But when we look at how boxed in he is and how fucked he is, given the parameters that he's set for himself, what if he had just come out and been like, "Fuck Donald Trump, he's a fucking loser. He's a bitch. He sucks. He's a whiny, corrupt shit." Just go, embrace the entire right critique of Trump and just attack him.
Yeah, that could have
Now-
changed things.
Yeah.
He had to actually step out in a way that I don't think he's capable of. But I did see that I have sources on the ground. I keep track of 50 accounts called shit like Roman Haruskistan or Elizabeth Dolan Joyer. And these people, like, you learn more about like GOP politics from these guys than you could like doing anything. Even like the media watchers who watch like 50 hours of William F. Buckley, they're not like getting as much raw info. These people were so mad at Trump after the midterms. They were so mad at him. They're like, this fat loser. He's doomed us. We're never gonna win election again. We're gonna like we can't like win any single swing state. This guy's like he sucks. And that was a lot of what led them to DeSantis. Like if you read Bill Mitchell, the kindest soul in all of Republican politics, that's exactly his thing. He's like ruthlessly pragmatic. He's like Trump's a loser. DeSantis wins, and there is like an electoral argument for that. DeSantis'
He wants
performance was
something
very
to
impressive.
get.
Well, how legitimate it was, I am a little skeptical. But
Is the
like,
double
nobody cares about
pawns.
that. Nobody follows the midterms.
Are you playing like an
Nobody's-
MLG
there's
Pro
never been an
chess man right
instance in
now?
history I can think of where
No.
like people change the entire direction of their party based on like not only the results of the midterms but interpreting
Playing
Play
a
well
bad-
enough, Buck will give you a blowjob. He told me.
that
Told me
allowed
to do
them to
that for you
understand why it was
if you
bad.
win that game.
Like nobody really cares about that besides the elite Republicans.
bad player.
And like I don't think that's the case. You can really articulate. It's like even if you went that route, the people would even understand.
You can't win an election with the guys like Slade Gorton enjoyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I have also like through you.
Wait, I coulda just
found
played
a
Ricky
bunch of
7.
Utterly stultifying accounts.
We're
Yeah.
all
They're all-
twelve
I
years
still
old,
can.
by the way. None of
Yeah,
you can even vote.
I had
all
a-
of them were born in 2010, and they're all named like Mark Kirkstand.
Yeah.
Like,
I like there was somebody who talked about how they were like getting spanked by their dad, and I found an old tweet by them where we were talking about how spanking is good. So it was like doing like some shit with like Trump where he said I hate the electoral college, but for like somebody like in middle school.
Josh, that's like that was like a couple weeks ago. I saw accounts from like people who were, I don't know, 19 or 20 years old, and that's like the oldest I could imagine them being like, I will never forgive Jane Fonda for what she did in with the anti-aircraft
Yeah.
battery. It's just like that was 60 years ago.
Yeah, and that was the best thing that's ever happened. So
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
Josh,
like, I just going back to the midterms for a second. I thought it was interesting that it was very convenient for like that type of Republican to pin this all on Trump, and certainly
Yes.
like Trump is like an electoral albatross, especially in midterms.
uh-huh.
But it seemed
He's
It
a
was a
fierce
coping
fighter.
mechanism. It was
Yeah,
absolutely
like-
a coping mechanism.
absolutely
Because they don't want to admit that like their broader project they've been working on like for the past 40 60 like 100 years is a complete dud once they put it into practice. It's easier just to blame it on this one stupid guy. Granted, he is stupid, that part of it is correct, but it's not him. This is
I mean,
your thing.
he might be stupid, but he was smart enough to know that it's probably a bad idea to repeal Roe versus Wade if
Yes.
you want
Yeah.
Republicans to
Well,
win
yeah.
elections.
That was a very underrated point also in December where Trump outright like went out against the pro-life people. It was funnier how he had a better grasp of what happened than any of the professionals. But that's like that like kind of
Okay.
moment like after the elections, keeping track of that that has really informed how I think of
Didn't
the
clear
Republicans
it.
right now.
I want to get into the Dobbs effect and its ongoing importance for upcoming elections. But I mean, I guess just like the last thing I wanted
He
to ask
has
you
a
about
check.
Trump DeSantis. Like Matt outlined one road not taken for DeSantis because he is a coward, and that's just simply go directly at Trump. That A, he's a loser. B, he's a whoremonger. C, I mean, go down the list. Like,
Yeah, I won
pull out
Florida by
his
20.
Epstein connections. I mean,
Like
come
winning
on,
Florida
like,
by 20
Check.
is kind of like that's impressive. He won Miami-Dade County by 11 points. He won Palm Beach County. It was like really like impressive stuff, like just objectively. But he never even really talks about that. He just talks about his stupid policy
Yeah.
agenda that like every Republican governor in the country is just copied from him. Like that's not what's unique about you. Like you have freaking like I don't know gloved slave owner in like Arkansas doing that. Like the difference with you is that you won off that. Like make that case. He never really says it, but even then, that's not compelling. Like Beto tried that and it didn't work.
well, I mean, like,
Yeah,
well,
the
I would say
case-
that hold on, the second possible like open route to DeSantis that I'm seeing
If this
is
works,
just
because
like,
I could
it
just
seems like there's
take.
been a little bad blood already for him even like deigning to run for president. But like, doesn't it make the most sense for both of them that he just auditioned to be Trump's VP, which he will hate, and he'll have to eat like a buffet of shit to get there. But I mean, he has no soul or decency, so like, that,
yeah.
you know, that shouldn't affect him too badly.
Yeah, that was anticipated. The funny thing about that is that there would have been some legal complications about that because legally you can't have a president and a vice president from the same state. That's very
Not if you
It's-
want the electoral college votes of that state, which
Yeah, that's
Florida.
true.
That's very
That's the
substantial.
specific part. Yeah. So Trump would have had to move back to New York to do that.
Well, this certainly complicates things for that
Yeah.
option.
He could have. He would just been like fleeing, like to like some random red state. This is something. This is like a crackpot thing. I always said. I always felt like Trump should have just run for senator in like some like I don't know Wyoming or something. So he could have just been like in politics wherever. Like that's like a really old thing that presidents just don't do anymore. But I feel like they should do that. There's nothing that says you can't. They'll still be able to stick around.
The last person to do that was Hillary, and specifically because that was like her nerd, like Goldwater girl. Like she would have
Check.
been. She would have been if Hillary was born in 2009. She would have been on electoral Twitter
Absolutely.
as
Tom Malinowski, Stan.
yeah. Barbara Mikulski, respect her. That's when she reaches high school and abandons the GOP. She would have been one of those people who's like my political progression. Age 9, monarchist. Age 10,
age 14,
conservative
Strasserite.
Republican.
Yeah. 14, Strasserite. 15, Gonzalez.
Yeah.
16, Simpson Bowles obsessive.
Yeah. But yeah, Hillary was the last person who did that. This is like totally forgotten now. It's been subsumed by the DeSantis-Trump rivalry. But do you remember in like late 2021 when Republican operatives were suggesting that the House should elect Trump as Speaker?
Oh yeah.
They should have done that.
Yeah.
I still think they should have. There was like you could bet on him in betting markets for him to be Speaker. The thing about Hillary that you mentioned, it's always so funny to me that she thought that the route to being president was Secretary of State. Like she's fucking Henry Clay, like fucking Thomas Jefferson. Who do you think you are? What year do you think it is?
Secretary of State and Senator from New York. Senator from the state of New York.
Yeah.
Literally
Check.
only happens 200 years ago or in
And it didn't even work back
Annapolis.
then. Everybody got pissed at them when they tried that.
Check.
There's a strategy that like fucking like from the era of good feelings didn't even work back then.
Check.
Complicated for Trump. He'll be moving to
Check.
New York, upstate New York. Ossining is what I'm talking about, folks.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I think it's funny
Check.
that he's gonna be fingerprinted and mugshotted tomorrow. But like, I would not be surprised if he skates on this this case. I would not be
Check.
surprised if
It's not actually.
if this
good
case
charge.
completely falls apart. Like,
It's easily the
I'm not
weakest
saying-
charge. I was like reading
Checkmate.
an article about it, and it's like they're like, oh, he paid with like his own money for the hush money stuff, but it helped his campaign, so it was campaign donations that weren't done right. By that standard, literally anything you do that's not like starving yourself to death is a campaign donation. But then you have the Georgia case where he's legally like, yeah, you need to just get the exact number of votes so I win by a single vote, and he just had that on tape to the Secretary of State. And it's like they're like, yeah, we're still working on that one. Like they can lock up every single rapper in the entire state, but they don't have anything against Trump and that.
Check.
Like they're not using their resources right in Fulton County.
Do you remember when like Rudy was on tape, like he butt dialed a reporter, and it was just in the middle of one of his like disgusting smoke-filled meetings at a cigar bar, where he's like, "How are we gonna get more money from the UAE?" like they were just on tape discussing extortion attempts.
Yeah,
and,
something like that. always
lobbying
happens.
ops.
Something
It's
like that happened every like 2 months under the Trump administration. There was just never any closure for any of it.
yeah,
Like the I just tweeted it out thing that Don Jr. just tweeted out. Nothing ever resulted from him just tweeting that out. I'm haunted by it.
And like I'm not trying to be like a contrarian here. Like Donald Trump should be in prison, and like honestly, like politically motivated prosecutions are good, and we should have more of them.
It's good to set the
But-
precedent. I think that was like it was a good tone setter. It's like establishing the run.
Yeah, and like Trump should be in jail for any number of things, but like to your point, it does seem like they chose the weakest case because it has the least. It's like the least consequential to our democracy or to like the world in general. They're just like like him paying hush money to this porn star. that he
Yeah, that's
promised
a
to
good
get on
point.
Celebrity Apprentice, like whereas you said like the Georgia example is just like he's like, hey, could you please steal this election for me?
Yeah, they'll like put him in like a freaking like chain gang if he ever enters the state lines if they can get that charge through. With New York, I'll just probably have to pay a fine for like bad bookkeeping.
Yeah. I mean, like, where were these people when Rod Blagojevich and George Ryan, two Illinois chief executives, were politically prosecuted?
That's true. That's Blago and the Trump connection is so fascinating to me. I like to think because Trump was a Democrat for 10 years. I like to think he was a Blego Democrat, and he left the party after they arrested him.
Timeline sets up.
It does.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing DeSantis might run on Trump against, the fact that he was a
Yeah.
Democrat for as long as he was.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, look, basically, I think the best we're going to get out of this is just tomorrow when he turns himself in. And
That'll
sadly,
be
America will now join the ranks of banana republics like Israel, France, Italy,
Illinois.
South Korea, Japan,
Check.
Illinois,
Yeah.
as prosecuting former heads of state for things unrelated to matters of state.
Yeah.